There are two types of people in the world. The ones who see my 1968 Mercury Cougar and go, wow, man, what a beauty. And then there's Karen. Now, I didn't know her name was Karen at first, no. That information came later when she screeched it at a police officer like a war cry. At first, she was just angry suburban woman with a caffeine addiction and an SUV that looked like a toaster. Let me back up. It started 3 weeks ago when I moved into a new neighborhood. Decent spot, edge of town, where people mow their lawns on Sundays and judge you silently if you don't. I wasn't trying to cause waves, just needed space, peace, and a place to keep the Cougar safe. She's not just a car. She's history. Cherry red, chrome sharp enough to shave with, and an engine that rumbles like God's own stomach growl. Took me 4 years to restore her. Every screw, every line of stitching on those seats, mine. Blood, sweat, and just enough tears to qualify as a romance. So, yeah, I park her in my driveway like a proud dad. That was my first mistake. Day 1, Karen walks by. I'm wiping down the hood when I hear the nasal tone that, in hindsight, should have been a red flag. Oh, that thing must be terrible for the environment. No hi, no nice to meet you, just that thing. I glance up. She's mid-40s, wearing a tracksuit so neon pink it probably violates some kind of Geneva Convention. Her dog, a rat-sized fluff ball, sniffs my tire like it's considering pressing charges. I smile, a tight one. Good morning to you too. She squints at the car like it insulted her mother. Is it loud? Only when it's awake. She scoffed, muttered something about noise pollution, and strutted off. I thought it was over. Spoiler, it wasn't. Over the next few days, she escalated from passive-aggressive to full-blown territorial. The Karen breed thrives on imagined injustices, and apparently, me owning a classic car was the worst thing to happen to her since gluten. She left a note on my windshield. This is a quiet neighborhood. Please respect that. Typed, all caps. Signed, concerned neighbor. Another time, I caught her glaring out her window as I backed out of the driveway. The way she stared, you'd think I was launching a rocket, not going to get milk. But I played it cool, smile, nod, drive slow, until the day she snapped. It was a Tuesday. I remember because it had rained the night before, and I'd spent the whole morning polishing the Cougar's hood till it gleamed like polished wine. I stepped back, admired my work, and thought, damn, still got it. That's when I heard it. Crink. Metal on metal, sharp, wrong. I whipped around in time to see her SUV, her toaster on wheels, rolling backward out of her driveway, and into the front end of my Cougar. At first, I thought, accident, brake failure, cat ran under the wheels, anything. But then she stepped out, looked at the damage, smirked, and said, oops, guess it's just too big to see your little old car behind it. That's when I knew. This wasn't a mistake. This was war. I stood there staring at the crushed chrome on the Cougar's front left fender. It was subtle, but to someone like me, someone who knows every curve and contour of this machine, it was like watching someone punch a hole in a family portrait. She didn't even look guilty, just smug, like she'd finally won some silent neighborhood argument I never agreed to play. It's not like it's a real car, she added, locking her SUV with a beep that sounded way too proud of itself. I took a breath, a deep one. Calm. Stay calm. This is how she wins. I hope you've got insurance, I said flatly, examining the damage without touching it. She made a fake sympathetic face. Of course, but I doubt they'll do much for something that ancient. Isn't that considered scrap? Scrap. This woman just called my Cougar scrap metal. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is where I lose my mind, scream at her, go full dramatic. But I didn't. See, the thing about people like Karen, they want you to lose it. They live for it, gives them purpose, lets them twist the story later. So instead, I smiled. You're absolutely right, I said smoothly. Probably not worth much, just sentimental junk. Her eyebrows lifted. She didn't expect that. But, just to be safe, I continued, I'll let the insurance companies talk it out. Who knows, maybe they'll agree with you. She scoffed, waved her hand dismissively, and walked off with her demon dog yapping after her. What she didn't know, what she couldn't know, is that I'd restored that Cougar with documented original parts. Every inch had receipts, proof, appraisals, and a current valuation of over $48,000. Not sentimental junk, antique gold. But I wasn't going to rely on insurance alone. Karen had declared war, and I don't play defense. I called my buddy Marcus that night. He runs a restoration garage and does appraisal certifications. Told him what happened, sent him the photos. "Dude, that's criminal," he muttered. "That's targeted. You can see she didn't even try to break." I agreed. "You still have the copy of the appraisal we did last month?" "Yeah, why?" "Send me a scanned copy, with that sweet little stamp that says market valuation." He chuckled. "You going to court?" "No," I said. "I'm going to let her take me there." I filed the police report the next day. Calm, collected, didn't mention she did it on purpose, just said the accident looked suspicious. The officer nodded, took my statement, said they'd speak to her. Spoiler, that didn't go well. Because when the officer went to her door, I was standing in my yard, watering the grass like the world's most passive-aggressive sprinkler system. Karen saw me, saw him, and immediately launched into a verbal fireworks show. "That old car's a menace. It doesn't even belong in a..."
"Parked it behind my driveway on purpose. I want to speak to your superior."
The officer was polite, professional, and visibly tired of her already. He took notes. He walked back to me and quietly said, "We're going to log it. You've got a pretty clear case here. Just hang tight." I nodded. "Thanks, officer. I'm sure it was just an unfortunate accident." He raised an eyebrow, like he knew exactly the game I was playing, and walked off. By the end of the week, the insurance company had called her. Then her lawyer had called her. Then, apparently, reality called her, collect. I know this because she left another note in my mailbox. This one was handwritten. "Can we please discuss this without lawyers? I'm willing to be reasonable." I almost laughed. You don't key someone's car, call it trash, smirk at them, and then decide you're open to reasonable once the bill lands like a brick through your window. So I didn't respond. I let her sit in the silence. And then 2 days later came the real fun part. It's incredible how quiet the loudest people become when their bank accounts are on the line. 3 days after her handwritten plea, I got a call from her insurance company. They were pleasant, if robotic, like a Siri voice with a legal degree. "Mr. Drake, we've assessed the appraisal and repair documentation for your vehicle. Due to the declared value and restoration history, the damage estimate exceeds $12,000. Given the model's collectible status, a replacement value settlement may be negotiated." "Sure," I said, sipping coffee. "Happy to let that play out." Pause on the other end. "Miss Winters, Karen Winters, the policyholder, has expressed interest in settling this out of claim to avoid premiums." Of course she has. See, Karen was discovering what every overconfident petty tyrant eventually does. When you pick a fight with someone quieter than you, be damn sure they're not just calculating while you rant. I told the insurance rep I'd think about it, hung up, and immediately texted Marcus. "She's trying to negotiate. I want to drag this just a little longer." He replied with a meme of a cat pushing a vase off a table. I didn't do anything illegal, let's be clear. But every chance I had to remind her of her mistake, I took it. I started parking the Cougar sideways in the driveway so she could see that beautiful scar on the fender every time she backed out. I joined the local classic car group and hosted a small gathering in my driveway one Sunday. About 7 rumbling, thunderous vintage cars rolled up, all purring like metal beasts, while Karen stood in her yard, clutching her reusable coffee cup like it was a crucifix. Her dog barked at the cars. The cars barked back louder. Then came the neighborhood Facebook group. Oh, the digital playground of suburban drama. Someone posted a blurry photo of our car meet with the caption, "Why is it suddenly so loud on Oak Ridge Drive? Some of us have toddlers and work nights." I didn't comment. I didn't have to. 3 other neighbors, cool ones apparently, replied first. "Those vintage cars are gorgeous. I took my son to see them. At least it's not another block party with Taylor Swift at full blast." Better engine noise than screaming kids, just saying. Karen never commented, but I know she saw it. I know. I came home one evening to find a crumpled sheet of paper shoved under my front door. Not folded, crumpled, rage style. It read, "If you think you can humiliate me and get away with it, you're wrong. That car doesn't belong here. You don't belong here." No signature, like it was some anonymous manifesto. As if I didn't know the chicken scratch handwriting of a woman who monogrammed her yoga mat. I smiled, folded it neatly, put it in a Ziploc bag and filed it next to the police report. Then I pulled the final lever. I called her insurance again. "I've decided not to accept any private settlement. Please proceed with claim resolution for full replacement value."
They didn't sound surprised. Karen must have known too, because 2 days later she appeared on my doorstep, unannounced, holding a coffee she probably meant to throw in my face but decided against last second. She stood there in leggings and a performance fleece, looking like suburban guilt in human form. Her tone was flat, like she'd been rehearsing lines in her bathroom mirror. "I spoke to the adjuster. They said the claim might total out. I don't want it to go to court."
I nodded. "I don't either."
She blinked. "So, what can I do?"
I gave her nothing, just stared. Finally, she exhaled and muttered,
"Would you accept a replacement?"
"Bingo!" The words tasted like glass coming out of her mouth. I didn't smile, I didn't smirk, I just said, "I'm listening." Karen wanted to buy me a car, not because she respected me, not because she suddenly understood the value of classic automotive beauty. No, she wanted me to shut up and go away, to make the problem disappear before the insurance company tanked her premium or her husband, who, by the way, I'd never seen once, figured out how much financial fire she was playing with. But I wasn't going to let her off that easy. We met at a local coffee shop. Not the one in the neighborhood. No witnesses. She wore big sunglasses like she was a disgraced influencer, ducking paparazzi. I wore a hoodie and my quietest grin. She slid a manila envelope across the table. Inside, a printed email from a dealership 2 towns over. A quote for a restored 1968 Mercury Cougar. Black, matching wheels. Interior redone in full-grain leather. It was decent. A little too clean for my taste. Felt like a museum piece, not something you drive. But the price tag, nearly $50,000. She was serious.
"I talked to the manager. They'll hold it for a week if you want it."
She muttered, stirring her tea like it had wronged her. I closed the envelope, took my time. "I appreciate the offer." Her jaw clenched.
"But?"
"I want the red one," I said. "Like mine. Same year. Same build. Matching VIN class, if possible." She gave me a look like I'd asked for a unicorn with a V8.
"Why does it have to be red?"
I shrugged. "Sentimental reasons. You destroyed one love of my life. You don't get to replace it with something you prefer." She opened her mouth to argue, stopped herself, took a breath.
"I'll find it,"
she said, voice like sandpaper. "Thank you, Karen." She winced at her own name. 2 weeks later, a flatbed arrived. On it, a 1968 Mercury Cougar. Candy apple red, white vinyl top. California plates. Not mine, but close enough to stir something in my chest. Karen didn't come to the delivery. Of course not. But the dealer handed me a printed receipt. Paid in full. Title transferred. Registration clean. Engine recently tuned. The total? $54,200. I didn't say a word. I just watched it roll into my driveway and felt a wave of quiet satisfaction. I called Marcus. "She did it," I said. "She actually found one." He laughed. "Dude, did she really buy you a better version of the car she wrecked?" "Yup. That woman's hate is impressively expensive." Now, here's where the story could end. I get a new car. Karen disappears into social shame. Everybody claps. But no, you know me better than that. See, I had one last thing to do. That Saturday, I took the Cougar, my new Cougar, on its first proper drive. Not a joyride. The sunlight. Chrome blinding. Paint practically vibrating. It purred like an apex predator freshly fed. She didn't wave back. But her face? She looked like she bit into a lemon wrapped in debt. That's when I decided to join the next HOA meeting. HOA meetings are the suburban version of gladiator arenas, minus the swords, plus cupcakes. There were neighbors pretend to care about grass length while silently judging who parks crooked. Normally, I wouldn't go within 50 feet of one, but after the Karen incident, I decided it was time to contribute. I showed up 5 minutes early, in the Cougar, parked it right in front of the community center window, angled just enough that every time someone turned toward the agenda board, they'd catch a glimpse of its polished beauty, staring back at them like a smug, well-fed panther. Karen walked in 5 minutes late, of course, saw the car, saw me, did the quick eyebrow twitch of suppressed rage, then sat down across the room, gripping her reusable bottle like it owed her child support. The meeting was uneventful. Discussion of dog leash policies, mulch budgets, some minor debate over fence heights. Then came open comments. I stood up, cleared my throat, and said, "I'd just like to thank the community for being so welcoming. Some of you may know there was an unfortunate incident involving my classic car and a neighbor, but I'm happy to say it's been resolved in a truly generous fashion." Dead silence, except for a muffled cough that might have been a suppressed laugh. Karen shifted in her seat like her spine wanted to eject. I'd also like to suggest we consider starting a local classic car appreciation day, maybe something for the community, a little history, a little pride in craftsmanship, you know? Someone clapped, a real, actual clap. Another guy, a retired vet I'd seen mowing his lawn in camo shorts, chimed in, "Hell, I'd bring my Chevelle." Boom. Idea passed. Classic Car Sunday, once a month. HOA approved. Karen said nothing, but I could feel her soul disintegrating behind those tinted bifocals. Word spread fast in the neighborhood. They started referring to Karen as that woman who bought a man a car. I didn't start it, but I didn't correct anyone either. The local gossip chain had a field day. Apparently, her husband had been away. Business trip, something tech. When he came back and found out about the claim settlement and her personal purchase of a $50,000 vehicle for the guy next door, let's just say their blind stayed shut for a month. The SUV? Gone. Replaced by a more modest sedan. The dog? Still yapping. But I think even it started avoiding my driveway. As for me, I drive that new Cougar with a little extra pride. Not because it's flashier, but because every purr of the engine is a middle finger in second gear. And sometimes, when I polish it on a Sunday morning, I catch Karen watching through her window. She never says anything anymore. But that's okay, because actions speak louder than passive-aggressive notes, and nothing screams regret louder than buying your enemy a better version of the thing you tried to destroy.